Now and a half sleep he was getting a day.
Well, I can always remember, Tom, even going back to the cold days, how they asked if you wanted a sub,
Mm.
and whether you wanted it or not,
Mm.
you're obligated to take it.
Yeah.
What's a sub?
Well, that was so much. You'd earn so much.
Wages.
Might be $1 or $10 or something like that.
On your wages, because you wouldn't have any food perhaps or anything.
Oh, they pay you that instead of giving you your lunchtime sort of thing, or
No. They asked if you wanted a sub.
to go on with.
Yeah, because you mightn't have anything in your bloody colours.
Oh,
What
I
you're
see.
saying. That's what should have happened.
No, they were paying you, and you mean they pay you a little bit on advance?
Yeah.
This Charlie Schindler, Wendy, four of us were sitting on the bloody edge of the wall.
Yeah.
We're going to get a start at 1 o'clock. None of us has got any lunch, and out comes Charlie out of a bloody sugar bag, and he's got a loaf of bread. So he pulls it out, and he looks along the line. The four of us were all looking at him. He's the only one that's got anything. Oh, Christ, he said, am I the only one that's got any lunch? Well, yes, you're the only one, Charlie. Cover up.
Geez, that was where your comrades
Hey?
wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That's where your new men were.
Yeah,
like,
there's no hesitation about saying to him, carve it up, Charlie. There's four
no
of us.
way, no.
Hey?
You
When
wouldn't
was this
find that happening. there.
Oh,
No.
be 35, 36, 37, something like that.
But even the old members, would say to you, you take that sub, son.
Take that stuff.
Keep it going.
Yeah, because
That's right. Yeah. Well, it might have meant that they mightn't have finished the job till Monday or something, so they'd have something for the weekend, like,
Right, yeah.
And even they never offered, and this was meanness on the foreman's part that he never offered, was it? This was, I mean, he should.
No, he should have.
He could have.
A decent foreman would have said, "Look, you're back tomorrow night."
Yeah.
He knew he knew they were back. But the Keoghs would.
Well, why?
Well, like that.
What was it worse to say come back at Monday? I see many didn't get enough rest. He didn't
Well,
get
he
rest.
had to push your bike from North Fitzroy. He finishes at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now he pushes it home. Push the bike home to North Fitzroy, Ivan Street, North Fitzroy, near the footprint, near the. He's still living there. He's lived there for 40 years, near the Fitzroy ground. Now he gets an hour and a half sleep, and he's got to be back at the pickup at 1 o'clock, and he's got to sit there till 2:45 to get picked up.
Well,
For a
why
3
did
o'clock
they tell him
start.
to come back at 3 o'clock then?
Hey?
Why did they tell him to?
Oh, that's the things they used to do. Look.
Oh, yes.
They knew bloody. He'd deliberately leave it until 2:45 before he'd go out and pick him up. But he'd know at 1 o'clock that he wanted him. He knew the night before they left.
He could have picked him up.
He could have ordered them back to the
He
ship.
knew how much cargo would be going in the ship. He knew how many hours required. And this was not necessary to do that type of thing.
There was no need to order them back to the pickup at all. If he wanted them back the next night, he'd say, "You're back tomorrow night."
Oh, I see. Instead of just giving him the job to go through, work through till, he'd say, "You're right, you're on till this boat's finished." He'd say, "Come back to the pickup."
Yeah, and he might decide not to pick him up again or something like that.
Depends on how he worked, Tom.
Depends on how he worked
If he
that
was a
night.
deadhead, he wouldn't get picked up next day.
Well, then why order him back at all in case,
He'd order, he
you might need?
didn't order him back. He ordered him back to the pickup.
Ordered them back.
Back to the pickup.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean he's going to get the job.
That don't mean he doesn't
Well,
get
I
a
mean,
job.
you don't have to go, do you? So
Well,
You
you
do if you want a bloody
You've
gig.
got to eat.
Didn't you?
Hey! That's right.
That's out of my
See, you
nightmare,
understand,
this, you know.
Wendy, what he had in his favour of keeping the man in suspense, where probably he'd have to do twice as much.
Must have loved it, them bucks and those.
You understand what I mean?
that was a certain way of disciplining the
I don't
labour.
remember.
That's right.
The,
It's
the,
just
the
the old
oldest
saying,
buck
if
I
you
knew
don't
would be
do twice as much, you won't be back tonight.
mine.
And
they had a bloke
up
up
to
the
the car.
small of his hand,
Right.
like, you know.
Now listen, no private conversation.
Oh,
We want
sorry.
it all on here. Honestly. So really it was a way of disciplining the labour, was keeping on their toes.
Yeah. The pound of flesh.
they worked their guts out
The job
tonight
was
to get the job back the next night.
Yeah.
Yes,
If you didn't shape up, you shipped out.
You heard John Morrison talking about, when he was out in the blanks and they got a job.
Freezer job.
He got a freezer job. It's a hot day, you see, and he's only got a shirt on. And it's a 1 o'clock start, I think, wasn't it?
Now he wanted a 1 o'clock start. They picked him up in the morning and he said, "Can I have a 1 o'clock start so I can go home and get some clothes?" And they said no. They gave him a black
Oh, it's,
No, you see.
anyhow, they wouldn't give him any time to get clothes and
No.
Just when it was a blank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he said it was, it was really, it was a black mark against you if you wanted to get to be a second, you see, if you
Yeah,
refused
that's
a
right.
job.
Yeah, well, I told you that, you know.
That's right, yeah.
Did they have a ratio of picking up, this is Wendy's question.
Yeah.
Did they have a ratio of picking up scabs to Federation men?
3 to 1.
60-40 originally.
60-40, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Four scabs to two
It
Federation.
must have gone out sometime.
Well, that's 2 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
thought it
50,
was 3.
that's, yeah,
So
60,
60-40,
no,
3 to
60-40.
2.
3 to 2, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
You,
it
you were
must-
talking about it today.
It must have
Yeah.
changed later on because I was reading you do it. It's a very interesting piece of work you do. I did on the on.
Studied it well, didn't
She's
you?
good, oh,
Yeah.
she's really good.
No.
And Kerry,
Hmm.
and I got a lot of information out of that. But there were sort of things because it was mostly about the strike, but I wouldn't know. But it's sort of, I don't quite know about some of these things like when that, when it started. It must have been by the time of the war. They must have just been picking up. Was it
Oh,
still
well, I
on
think-
that 60?
I think
it'll
I think
change.
the demand for labour has increased at the time.
I
of the war,
don't,
you see.
I think until the gang system come in, that it ceased, Tom.
I think that's when it
It
is.
had ceased.
42, no, that's when it did cease.
Right?
But going back to the old pickup,
Yeah.
Mm.
it could have been bigger than that, because a lot of those blokes that were picking up were really wrapped in some of them people, like,
Oh yes, they used to go for the scabs.
Well, that was, I suppose they'd work hard.
I mean, it was very hard.
The Keos were the five, these fellas
Yeah.
I just mentioned, they used to go.
Well, they had the Richmond ones you mentioned.
No,
No,
they were
the
Port
Port.
Melbourne.
Mm.
Well, I was only talking about Alice Blue Gown. Remember Alice Blue
Oh,
Gown?
yeah,
Oh, he was notorious, wasn't he?
Yeah,
What
well,
was it Alice Blue Gown for?
He used to wear a blue apron to be known,
Mm.
and he used to go down to Station Pier
Yeah.
when they started at 10 o'clock at night
Right,
and
see
sit
this-
there and wait and see if anybody never turned up. Of course, that was commonly known as sniping.
Snipe.
Oh, to get a job.
Yes.
Oh, he
So-
was
so-
not a real
outside of
foreman. He was a,
No,
he was
he was
a
a
wolfie.
He was a wolfie, yeah.
Yeah,
An animal.
Yeah.
and that wasn't the done thing to sit there.
Oh, well, that's unreal.
Snipe Anderson, why did he get that name?
Then-
Snipe. He got that at the 2-up, Snipe.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
where he
It
got?
wasn't from being a sniper.
No, he was a very staunch fella.
Oh, no.
He was a
Yeah.
great bloke.
A sniper wasn't considered
The Anderson family.
the thing.
Anybody that done anything anti-union there, they're old men that have
It
killed them.
was sniping anti-union. I don't know if
Yes.
sniping.
Yes.
Snipe.
Yes.
And then they had the person that was commonly known as the White Winger.
Mm.
And he was the person that instructed the P&C,
So,
all the
trainers.
Mm.
to train them and direct them. He was in a foreman's capacity.
Yeah.
Well, in Joe Bell was one.
Yes.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I worked with him
Oh,
at United.
Barney was.
Barney played, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew he was because Jack Sorrell said to him one night, he's drunk, Jack, he said, and he sang out something, Barney, and he said, this before I was working with the Union Company, you was a white winger, you bludger. He said, don't tell me what to do. You know Jack Sorrell from North Melbourne? That was it for Barney.
You
He
knew
never
when Barney
knew.
was in trouble when he'd say to you, you go up the forward end and I'll go to the
Oh,
arm.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Because he knew him. Oh, well, up the forward end, somebody that knew him.
Some game that knew him or somebody that
Interesting,
knew him.
Tom. Who was it that told us? I don't know whether it was you. I was just, I've been, typing out these tapes about the bloke who was number one in the Scouts. You were telling us, wasn't it?
That
About
was,
the bloke
yeah,
number
that
one?
was Alec Reid.
Yeah.
Alec Reid's a foreman with Tommy McCormick. You know Tommy, the married, what's her name, Winnie Fay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They come up to the window midnight. I think it's on this. I
Go
think,
on.
they come up to the window midnight. And the fella, he said, right, I'll give you numbers. It was raining. 1. And Alex Reid said to him, Jesus, you was at the bloody window early, mate, And they went on strike. He said, that's it. He had about 4 scab gangs on midnight. That's it, he said. They were on strike. So McCormick, he said, listen, you'll have to apologise to them. I'm not apologising to them. Anyway, he finished up. He had to go and say, sorry, mate. Well, and he was fuming, Alec Reid, to get him working. Otherwise, everyone he'd have got the sack. Yeah.
They were a bit touchy, weren't they?
Oh, were they ever? And by the time I got down the wharf, 50, they were all old fellas. There wasn't any young, they were all wrinkled. No, they looked like what they were. That's what it's more. But I'm just now, say 20 years later, I see them. They're all got mean heads. Cooter, you remember that Cooter, the rotten teeth that Greeny had a snooker set for teeth?
Yeah.
He had a red one, a green, and that other little bloke from Footscray that walked like that, like they were real. I said, have a look at these. Look like rejects from a waxworks or something they've thrown out.
In fact, you have to be pretty contrary and cross-grained to sort of stay on. I mean, because you think when jobs start to get easy in the blooming 40s, that a lot of them must have gone off and got jobs in war factories and been glad to get out of the bloody wharf. I mean, the ones who stayed were probably the ones who didn't give a buck.
Well, I knew everyone, eh? That's right.
Well, I think
It's rather interesting, you know, the day they pulled the fence down, Bert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there the day they pulled the bridge.
Yeah.
A lot of them disappeared overnight. You don't blame them, would you?
No, there were no original scabs on the Melbourne waterfront when the fence was pulled down.
He's wrong.
Is that so? He proved.
No.
Well, one of the arguments to the Melbourne branch was that there were no original scabs acts anyway.
No.
Of course there was.
That was no, it wasn't in your daughters. It was,
No,
it
that's-
was in Vic. What's his name?
Vic's
Out
wrong. Vic Williams.
There was still a lot of them left then. There was
there. I don't think so.
Because-
That was 50.
Christ, there was
54 or 55, yeah.
You
there was plenty of them left.
got to bear this in mind, Wendy, that from 28 to 40 was only 12 years.
That's true. Yes.
If those fellas were 25 or 30, there's only
Young fellas.
was that still
They'd
young?
been 20 when they went on.
Yeah.
30, say 30. They'd only been 44 then.
That's right.
Yeah,
There wasn't that many young blokes because they recruited most of them fellas that were getting out the Navy after their 12-year period in the Navy. They joined up in 1917 and 1918 in the Navy, and they would get all that particular year a terrific amount of blokes were discharged from the Navy.
It's interesting.
And well, a bloke, one of the old scabs told me that, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And he said there were a terrific amount of ex-noblemen like who were been brainwashed for years about law and order, of course, naturally. And
Probably opened up down
yeah, and they just went straight out the Navy, straight onto the wharf as scabs.
You got the gun?
Yeah. Hey, you got me.
We were talking yesterday about the things that we couldn't put on the tape. You know,
Oh,
all the
that's
sex,
me.
all the sex stuff that's happened down there. You know, blokes looking through portholes at sailors with shields and fists coming out and going bang. And the watchman jumping up, trying to look through the porthole. And the two blokes had a fight. A wharfie, the watchman and a wharfie. So it started like this. They're on midnight. So Tommy McCormick goes down, looks in the hatch. Nobody there. Said, I wonder whether. So he goes up. It was a mailboat, the Strathmore. So he goes up the other end. That Alec Reed used to work with. He's up the other end. He said, "Do you order that gang back tomorrow night?" He said, "Yeah, they're like there. They should be there." So he goes back down to deck. By that time, there's 2 or 3 of the gang turned up. They're watching a Sheila get undressed in a thing. See, so they all come down by one bloke. And he was the hatchman. He said, come down. He said, start. He said, listen, Tom. He said, what? I've got to stop here. He said, I'll work me soul case out for you afterwards. He said, but just for 5 minutes till she goes to bed. Now, she must have been posing. So the porthole's up high. Anyway, the bloke goes back, and this little watchman is jumping up. He's only little, he can't see him. He's jumping up to look through it, and she sees him. His head come up and down. So she slams the porthole, pulls the curtain down, whatever. So this bloke from the hatch run back, and they're into it, him and the watchman. You dirty old bastard, he said, you've ruined me, bit of voyeur, you know. Yeah. But, you know, it's unreal.
Oh, you know, as a matter of fact, Tom, I just.
That happened.
Yeah, it's a party. Twice, like it's unbelievable that could happen twice.
What?
He's looking at a sailor with a shield through a porthole. And the sailor sees him. And he looks like he come from Mars, this bloke, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Little fat,
Yeah.
little big head. So out comes a fish, bing, and he comes black. Oh, he come back, he's got a terrific black eye. 5 minutes later, he went back and had another look, and he got the other eye. Yeah, he was waiting for him. The bloke was waiting for him. And as soon as the head came to porthole, bing, you know, oh. And he had 2, yeah. But that used to happen. You remember that?
Double.
You remember that tall supervisor. He was about 6'8".
Oh yes.
They used to call him the porthole peeper. He was
Yeah.
the tallest bug you ever
Yeah.
saw on these portholes.
Didn't
And
have to
you'd
be
see him
a
walk
bear,
along.
that's right.
You'd see him walk along and he'd go.
He was good.
He'd walk along the next porthole.
What's his name?
He made him about 7 foot high. Yeah. Yeah, he used to work for United, didn't he?
Yeah, remember the bloke?
Yeah.
Big tall.
That's what we call him, the porthole peeper, you know.
We were talking, last time talking to you about, why it was Wharfies were so union conscious. I was saying I think it's got something to do with the fact that they, all working on their own in little gangs on and I mean, they've got to look after their own conditions because, by the time you called for the
Delegate and so on.
and also the fact that your conditions in this blooming port hatch may be different to what's going on the next hatch,
Depending on the cargo,
and
so
also,
yeah.
when you think of the number of waterside workers, Tom, that have got experience as union officials, they're delegates. It's a real
Yeah.
rank and file sort of a thing. It doesn't come from the top. It's real, like all the rank and file, a lot of the rank and file are active on it, don't they? In that they've been.
More so than any other
I
industry.
think so.
Yeah.
And you don't find this the same. I mean, in the bloody tobacco workers union, okay, what they do is they get up and do something to get knocked off.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be impossible in the
Yeah,
world,
that's
wouldn't
right.
it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
They'd never get out of they would never
Yeah.
get out of the union. They would never get out of the stadium with anybody if they
You
come
must
to
read
arrest
this article. This is a beauty. I've never read anything like this.
About the tobacco workers.
Yeah, this one in this local paper, Tom.
Yeah,
must read this.
Unbelievable.
Try and drop it into you, Tom.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have ever believed this.
Boys.
Yes. Back to the waterfront.
The other thing is that another thing is that you can, I think must have been and enabled people to be independent and characters on the wharf was you might get sacked today, but you got a different boss tomorrow.
That's
I mean, you're not
Yeah.
sacked because it's a casual industry.
Yeah.
You're not sacked permanent.
You're a permanent casual.
Well, that's right, and you can front up to a different.
you knew
boss
you
or a
was going
different
to say-
company the next day.
Variety.
You
was
might
the
be
thing.
going to a bad supervisor or something like that.
Or
to
gas
say-
breath.
to say, oh, well, it's only for a couple of bloody days.
Yeah.
But usually the blokes what was all the good militant delegates, they come late to work that morning.
Yeah, that's right.
So they wouldn't have to be bloody delegate if it was a bad job.
Yeah,
You give the
never
job.
worried me. It never worried me, Tom.
No, but it did some of them.
One thing I've said on this waterfront, not that a butler or supervisor ever worried me.
No, but it did with some of them.
Oh, too right. Yeah, it wouldn't have worried you either.
Some of the prominent people in the union, I know them. If they know it was a bad job, they say, "Oh, so and so's doing that job. They'll be late for work."
Yeah.
The delegate will already be elected. But the Scotchman was a delegate. Remember?
Which one?
So the one we used to
Not
smatter all that.
Robbie.
Robbie.
Oh, you couldn't understand a word he said.
A
McFarlane.
supervisor-
Robert McFarlane.
Robert McFarlane. You
What
couldn't
a-
understand him, and they give you a bloody shower bath when he was talking.
He was, Robbie used to ride the
The
bike.
supervisor, one
Oh,
of the
pardon,
supervisors
but-
come up to me and said, "Tom, are you or Robbie the delegate?" I said, "I'm the delegate. Why?" "Thank Christ for that. I get a shower bath when he's
Oh,
the delegate."
He comes from Glasgow, this fella, and he gets a little excited, and he goes right back to deep Glasgow. You cannot understand him, and he says, "What the matter? You can't understand me, And he spit, and he go red in the face. Remember somebody sacked him one night at 5 North, and he rode up and down on his bike trying to pull everyone out. And they all said, "Get stuffed and get away, Robbie, you're mad." I got a sack, He'd come back drunk or he's late or something, and I don't know. Oh, yeah, get stuffed, Rob, go on. Piss off. And everyone kept working. He was very disappointed in him. He stand up the wall sticking, "Hey, that blood."
What happened to him?
I don't know, I haven't seen it.
I
Haven't
think
seen
they
it
took
for
his
years.
delegate's card.
I should think so.
Jack.
Goodness.
Yeah, well,
He had an IQ of about 50.
Well, it is interesting. I just sort of think, I was trying to work out why there were so many characters on them. Like this Charlie Glass. Is it Charlie Glass?
Yeah, Charlie, yeah.
Because, see, in one way, Tom will say, look, people won't put up with people bludgeoning, you had to try and discipline them. But on the other hand, there seems to be a hell of a lot of flexibility. I mean, up to a certain state, the gang, you could get away with a lot, couldn't you?
Yeah,
Once the gang system came in, you
Charlie
quit.
Glassons of the waterfront, they were carried us on their own, wasn't it? You
That's
say,
Ah,
you say, listen, Charlie, enough of this bludgeon, you could just pull your weight with me or something like that, and Charlie would go along all
Oh,
right,
yeah,
wouldn't he?
of course he would. He could work all right, Charlie.
Yeah.
There's a difference in that type of bludgeon and another. You remember the blokes which used to go all us at Mombo on the bloody sticks?
oh yeah, see,
They
that,
used to punish Christ out of you when you was a
yeah, I
delegate
used to walk the stilts.
on the stills.
Oh, Alex,
Alex,
the laziest bludger.
Alex
The
Jurgen.
laziest bludger going.
Yeah,
Alex
I'll
Jurgen.
tell you what happened to him one day. Charlie fixed him up. Charlie gave him a bit. We're all down the pier loading butter. So he's got a pound of butter and he's in the truck with us. We had Charlie and a couple other blokes. He's laying on the wharf, on the whaling piece, rubbing butter on himself. Suntanning. He was as greasy as a pork chop. So Charlie said, I'm going to go down and give him a whack in the eye, that mug, if he don't get up in the truck. I said, good on you, Charlie. I'll come with you. So we jump out the truck and Charlie said, listen, he said, he had a broken nose, that Alex Sherman, you know. And he said, hey. And he said, I don't care if you was the champion of Shit Street, Poland. He said, if you don't get up, I don't know where he come from, Jim. If you don't get up and get in that truck, he said, you're off. And he just looked up and he went, yeah, you know, and Charlie went, bing. And he's a dog, you know. He got up and jumped in. The best worker all day, you know. And he stashed it that night. He was floating with our gang. He turned it up. Oh, but what he's a mongrel.
They put them all up free, you know, they're finishing up on the on the cow. And they sent for me, and I said, what's the trouble? We won't warm in. I stood and watched him for a while. I said, you wouldn't if you put your bloody hook in.
Just big, strong. What are you? Big, strong man, you know. But
He's in the show. And
yeah. He's got a heart.
Yeah,
I reckon it's
Jurgen.
about that big. You might be able to find it with a microscope.
Walking around on stilts.
No, he's a walker.
That was
Yeah.
his sideline.
Yeah.
See.
I don't know whether is he
Yes.
the bloke that still walks around?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
He left the waterfront.
Yeah. Thank God. We was here. We missed him.
Yeah.
Bruno, they used to call him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm just thinking with this whole sort of casual employment thing and this ability of the gang to carry someone if they wanted to, you know. And I've seen to me that you could get carried for two reasons. One's if you were crook, and the other one if that you were entertaining enough for them to put up
Well,
with.
that's right. You get a funny man down below, you know.
And
Like either they work now. You remember a book called Of Mice and Men?
yes.
So we're down Willie once, and Big Billy Judd, you know, Big Billy's a big, strong guy. He used to be a art boy gunman. He's carrying Johnny O'Sullivan sitting in the corner. And he said, I've got to tell you this story about mice and men, about Big Lenny and there was a big idiot and a little smarty.
Yeah.
And he's going, yeah. He's carrying those bags.
Bags.
And Johnny's saying, well, Lenny did
Sitting in
this.
the corner
And
carrying-
for hours this went on, and Johnny sat there and he carried every bag. And he kept saying, and this big idiot was doing all Lenny's work. Or I forget the names in it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lenny.
Lenny was the idiot.
2 hours. And I watched Johnny, and Johnny's laughing. He's saying, yeah, and then the big idiot did this. And he'd say, what did he do then, John? You know, and he's carrying, for 2 hours he carried bags, and Johnny kept telling him about the little smarty and and Johnny's only a little fella, you know,
Yeah.
Johnny O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
Hey, he never woke up. Billy Judd, he still doesn't know.
He still doesn't know.
But they're entertaining people, you know,
Yeah.
that Irish gang.
Yeah.
There's a gang of all Irishmen, Wendy,
Yeah.
and they were all pretty big blokes, strong blokes, you know. So what they were done like Irish done. I hate to say that, he might be Irish, but Lowenstein, boss master.
It's Robertson.
Oh, is it? Oh, Robertson. Oh, space. Anyway, this Irish gang was the same. You'd start telling them stories. I worked at Willie with them a few times. We used to take in a bottle of rum, golden rum liqueur. Johnny used to get it cheap. So have a drink, go pack. Oh, with that, you know, have a drink. And you'd have another, you know, you have a drink. And they're all having a drink and you tell them those stories. They never had to do any work. They'd have it all. You know? So entertainment was a big deal.
Yeah, well, I think to me, like, and this guy, remember they were talking, old Nick Fisher were talking about some old Wharfie who used to drop his lunch. He used to have his lunch. He never took any lunch. He had a brick wrapped up like his lunch, and he'd drop it off the boat as he's going across the river. And he'd say, "Oh, I've dropped my lunch. I have to go back and get some more." And he'd go in the pub and stay there. What was that? And
The big fish will tell you that
yeah,
one,
but
do
it's on tape. Anyway, you all knew who
I
it was.
don't
You say, anything that was the sort of. He was the one who caught the goose or the duck on a fishing line and pulled him over the fence. You remember that one? Oh,
I reckon one of the funniest was that when Pockets was in the toilet, sitting on the toilet with a tin of sardines, eating the sardines, and the copper came in, and he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Would you like some?" He got the tin roll.
They reckon, I don't know if it's true, they reckon the pockets go into the galley of a ship's galley and take a handful of stew and put it in his pocket.
Oh, I wouldn't believe that. Oh, come on, Tom.
It's true.
But the things he had in his pockets, you wouldn't know, you know. He had a Russian mate, didn't he?
Yeah, the big,
You remember his pockets was little.
you remember the big bloke, he's Russian? Yeah,
There was two of them, both Russian.
He had a room full
What
of
were they like?
newspapers when they used
What was
Yeah,
his
yeah.
particular peculiarity?
it.
The big bloke,
Those pockets, either of them.
pockets.
Oh, he'd have big
Oh.
coats. He'd wear 5 coats. And when he went out the gate, they'd search him. And they had to search him because they searched everybody else. And he'd be bent over like that. And they'd be putting layers of coats over like a telephone book, you know, turning the pages. And they go through each pocket. And they still had to do it because they didn't know when there could have been something there.
Oh,
Did he
George.
just to annoy them, or was it just that he was peculiar?
No,
he was strange. He was real strange. Pockets.
Yeah.
what's the name? That bloke, he went up to Dalesford, he got a boarding house. Big Og, I think. He was boarding with him. He touched him.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like that.
Some of the characters that come to mind, there must have been foremen who were characters too, were there?
Not too many of them. I did do that. Only me and him.
What about the one that used to be with the Melbourne steamship? He was a lighthouse keeper. They called him, he wouldn't bother to go up the gangway, he'd run up the bloody side net, you know.
It wasn't King, was it? Wasn't
He was
bloke named King? Remember that read out a bloke named King for work for the Melbourne company, used to wear a white cap and ride a motorbike?
Oh, yes.
His name.
Oh, no,
No,
I
he-
think the
He
Larry,
was a lighthouse keeper and he was a Liverpool Irishman, I think. They call him, something to go wrong up on board and he'd run up, he wouldn't bother to go, too slow to go up the gangway. He'd go up the bloody side.
The Melbourne company, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember him.
best one I ever seen was that Larry Burns.
What did
Larry.
Oh, Larry Burns. Oh, Larry. Yeah, what a funny, he was a funny
I've
man.
never seen a bloke move so much in all my living life. That man.
That's
But
a fella.
one of the funniest characters, I reckon, must have been amongst the supervisors, was Guthrie.
Guthrie, yeah.
Guthrie was a person that says, you've got to do this, and it's got to be right, everything's got to be exact. So they got a gang on midnight, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings at Guthrie's place. Yes, what do you want? Captain Guthrie? Speaking. Oh, it's the SEC here, Captain. Yes, yes. We're having a bit of trouble with the power down there. Would you go out in the front and see if the lights on? It's my duty to do that. It is my duty to do a thing like that, and I'll go out straight away. And at the front, he comes in. Well, the light's on. You sure the light's on? I'm absolutely sure it's on. Well, for Christ's sake, blow the bloody thing out. The gang on the bloody midnight's ring up.
Feebles was another funny little fly.
We used to do
Little
that to
people.
supervisor when we saw night shift, we'd be thinking, they would say, nearly 2 o'clock.
What do you want? Should have said, what do you want this case? Him in a circle.
And we'd say, ring it up and say, yeah, thank you, sir, see you. Yes, speaking.
Yeah.
Oh, we thought you might have wanted peace.
I told you that one about the gang that was working down the rock, down at Yarraville, shoveling in the buckets.
Mhm.
And there's a bloke that just been transferred down from Queensland, and one of the fellows knew him just before lunch, and he said to them, the fellow went up the ladder, and he says, that fellow's got in a lot of trouble up there in Queensland, especially with young boys like,
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, everybody goes up the pub at dinner time, and the last one to come down is the bloke that's got into trouble up in Queensland. And they're all bent over with their pants down by their ankles. Well, he took off up the ladder. I never seen him again. Never again. This is true. They're all bent over. They're all got their pants down by their ankles. I never seen him again. He took off. For sure.
I reckon that'd frighten him.
And you'd be looking for then about 14 blokes. There was 7 or 8 buckets going along, you know.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a real choice after lunch.
He come the other way. Oh, right, he went up to look at that.
There was a certain rubble and humour about the one, wasn't there? There always is about Monday.
Yeah, that's right.
See, what it was, Wendy, you were talking about an era where there were so many funny people. Things were bad. And they made a lot of humour out of it, like, which does happen,
Yeah,
you know. If you don't laugh, you may as well give up. And you'll never see them people again. They were people all on their own, like the Glassons and, you know, them people.
Catch Thomas.
Yeah, you'd never see them people.
Catch.
And fellas like even Pinhead, you know.
Pinhead, Gerald.
He was comedian with his own right, you know.
You go to the one on the waterfront today.
You'll never ever see them again, them people. I don't think you'll ever will.
You know what's wrong?
I was simpler the other day, you know, he's got his leg off the leg and he's got one leg and he's got one propped in the corner, so in this little room, you know, and Linda, his wife, in bed. So what's the bloody leg prop there put for? He's got the bloody things pushes me, you know, he said. And it's got a shot and a boot on it ready, you know. If you got, didn't get anything, I mean, I had another leg on. I said I'm going to go and get a change if it's wrong. And Jesus, Charlie wouldn't wear them.
In amongst all the fellas that's come on the waterfront in the last 20 years, so, you know, there isn't any character. There's none. There's just all they're interested in is money. I'm talking about the new Australians, not the natives, naturally. Don't think that or I get racist put on me. There's no characters amongst them. Now, everybody we know that's not a native and that hasn't come from around, you know, they've come from overseas. There's not a character amongst them. There's not one funny man that I've met in amongst all of them fellas. Have you ever met me?
No.
They're just blokes, they come to work, they go home, they laugh when something funny's said, but they never say it. It's always an Aussie.
That winch driver who was teaching, you know, down at the school, George Edwards. No, he was a foreigner. He was Greenwood taking him. He said, remember he read it to you today? My old mate told me, we went with me. Oh, little Manny.
Oh, now he's little Manny, you know, yeah, the crane driver. I remember one night. Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I wasn't going to say, but you know what he does when he spends time that Manny? He's a vacuum cleaner salesman, knocking on doors, and he's sitting to me one day. We're talking. We're getting some safety boots. But see, I've seen Manny with the vacuum cleaners. He said, no, good. He said, I'm selling plenty of vacuum cleaners. He said, but every time I go for a payment, they want me. They don't want to pay me. They just want to cut it out. He said, it's not for me a fortune. So he said, I have to give it away. I remember one night at 5 North, he was on the crane, driving the crane. This is going back 15 years or something. Yeah. And you were put some wires in, was your hatch, I remember, because I remember you blowing about it. Yeah. And he started to pick up these wires. He's got one eye on, and they strung out. And they finished up. He was right at the top of the crane, and there was wires hanging. He couldn't have lifted them up. He didn't have the right eyes. Yeah. See, and he's saying, "Hey, Bertie, spaghetti!" And you're saying, "Go there, you mug!"
He was saying
Yes, but no, he was saying spaghetti, and Bertie was finishing. The ship was the last lift in the ship, and he strung it out. And he's got the crane at its maximum height, and it's still wide and touching his hand, you know. Yeah, he knew he'd had the wrong eye, but he kept going anyway, you know. He is a bit of a character, but he's one amongst hundreds, you know.
Manny.
Manny,
I think the characters tend to go
to casual industry. I mean, this was what.
Yes, I believe
Well,
it. But
this
it's
is
not
what-
good for him, and he doesn't know much about it.
No, I think that those are the industries that attract characters, you know, and I don't know whether there's fewer characters.
Names for all maritime blokes. See, the engineers were the pig iron polishers, wasn't
Yeah,
they?
Yeah.
If you wanted to insult them, you called them a pig iron polisher.
polisher, yeah.
And the stewards, what were they? The Jerry, what was they called? The Jerry jugglers.
Jerry Jugglers, yeah.
Jerry jugglers. What?
Speaking of Jerry, you remember a band called Jerry and the Pacemakers?
No.
Well, when rock and roll first started. Jerry Collett is the supervisor, and we're all standing around and getting our orders for our hatches. And a wharfie come past, the best jet of all time, and he said, "Jerry and the Pacemakers." And that was a beauty. Yeah, you know.
The fallen were all.
Yeah, well, yeah. Jerry and the Pacemakers, and that was a big English band at the time, you know.
Yeah.
They used to dance. You must have. They went like this. The singer went like that.
Yeah.
That was Jerry and the Pacemakers.
I can always recall
Yeah.
a saying, you probably know too, Tom, about the supervisor, the foreman, put his head down the hatch, and there was a couple of big fat blokes down there, like, you know, in the gang, and he said, "How many men you got down there?" And somebody said, "5." And he said, "Well, send half up." They said, "Send down a bloody saw. We'll cut the fattest in half."
That was attributable to the Collins brothers.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know the Collinses?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, half of you go up the other. You know,
Yeah.
half of you go up the other end of the hatch, or half of you go up the other end.
they got the two Cullen brothers. They come out to work for Sullivan's, the carriers.
Oh, yeah.
Is that where they originally came from?
They reckon they packed them in a bloody packing case and sent them
Yeah,
out from
wouldn't be
Ireland.
surprised either.
And sent them out, and they worked for Sullivan's.
Huh?
And
There was Irish.
forget the story, but they had a letter of introduction to somewhere, and one of the Collinses, this letter of introduction, and got into the wrong bloody place with it. I forget the story about that. That was a good.
What were their names? Jack was one.
Jack and Bill.
Bill, Jack.
Jack and Bill.
Irish is Paddy's pigs. They were it. They were it all and all and all. It is it all.
Somebody come along and they'd say, "Up the Pope," and then it starts.
I wouldn't give their mother civility.
No, no.
No way, no.
They were a very rugged pair of gentlemen. They like those blokes were strange.
Yeah, well, that's how they originally come out, you know, to work for the Sullivan, the carrier.
Yeah.
When was this, in the 30s or?
Oh,
Right.
I think they might have done the stretch at Kimpton's too. Wow, Mel.
Yeah. Are there, well, one thing we started off on, Tom, these gentlemen probably do, is talking about sort of the slang of the waterfront, you know, because there's things like, what is names of things
Yeah.
like snotters?
Yeah,
and
which is only a rope, you know.
Yeah, I know, but we could listen to a group of any profession in talking. You wouldn't know what, you know, what they're talking about half the time, would you? There's, and like being up the road.
Yeah, that's a sack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that just Wharfies, or have you ever heard
No,
of anywhere else?
No, I think it's come from the bush. That's name.
Up the road could be. It sounds
You know,
more
like
reasonable.
when they used to sack shearers and sack.
Yeah.
I reckon I've heard that saying in the shearing sheds.
Yes.
Oh, you
Because
went to see it.
yeah, because I reckon I've heard them say like when we'll be up the road when this shed cuts out. Well, I don't think that's.
That's Wharf. Yeah.
But I like the names they give blokes like glass arms and the blunt pick and
What's the blonde pig?
the blunt pick. It just doesn't operate a blunt pick. You know, like a blunt axe. And perspiration is one I like. Always comes after the work's done. Perspiration, Percy. You know, and you know, names like glass arms is unreal. Oh, glass arms, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was where his arms were made of bloody diamonds or something. He never used to use them.
Bloody midnight that one night. Father Feeney, you know.
Oh, yeah, the bike rider.
Yeah, they pitched his bike, they did everything. He was a supervisor. And it's a cold, miserable night, and there's two blokes standing at the shed, and they haven't bloody moved for an hour. Feeney goes past a couple of times and looks. Come here, Tom. said, what's the, what do you want? She said, there's two fellas, do you think they're alive? I said, why? He said, they've been like that for an hour. I said, well, go down and touch them and see if they fall over.
You know, I think a lot of the waterfront stuff comes from seamen, because under below, like, which is, you know,
When you drop something.
that's always been on these sailing ships,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Have a look is one I've never heard anywhere else, bar the waterfront.
Mm.
Hey, well, that's
Have a
cool
look.
when something's falling on your bloody
No,
head.
they sing it when it's coming over the head.
Have a look.
Have a look.
Yeah.
Out the
Stand
square or
behind
something.
it.
Stand, you
Yes,
know.
I see.
That's just a version of the same thing.
Yeah, have a look.
Yeah.
There's another story that always strikes me funny is the crow that used to be on the coal.
Mm.
The bloke they called the crow.
Mm.
And knocked off early one morning and he gets home and he's found his wife in bed with another bloke. So she said, I forget what his first name was now, like, you know. She said, are you going to make me a cup of tea? He said, I'm making you one. He said, I'm not bloody well making one for him.
That's true, too, he did. So was dumb, really, dumb.
Yeah. Hang on, that is it. Go on talking, boys. It's the...
Oh, gee.
That was right about the girl. It was a bad thing.
Did you knew him? Did you know Fleetwood Smith
Yes.
when he was on the wharf?
Yeah.
The story they tell about him saying
Oh,
he'd sooner
right,
go home cold than tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was on doing oranges on the Waitaki. He was spinning them, bowling them down the hatch.
Was he?
Yeah, that was number one used to run right through the number
Yeah, I
three.
remember that.
Yeah.
And he's showing them how to do the spin the bowling, was. Bowling the oranges and doing off breaks and everything.
Was he?
Yeah.
You know what happened to him in the finish? He was boarding next door to a pub, and his room was next door to the cellar.
Mm.
His room and the cellar were like that. So he drilled a hole through the wall, and used to pull out bottles of whiskey. It wasn't a coal cellar, it wasn't a freezer, it was just a cellar,
Store.
somewhere out in Richmond.
Yeah.
He finished up drinking himself to death. Because he used to go home every night, pull down the picture, him go the hand, another bottle of whiskey.
Well, was it the next to the pub? So?
It was, yeah, that Fleetwood Smith used to play cricket for Australia.
Still.
Yeah, it was Store, was it? Yeah, Store, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he had
Yeah. The only man that went to sleep in a bloody freezer, they reckon.
Yeah.
Fleetwood Smith.
Was he a Wharfie?
Yeah,
I thought he was somebody a bit flash.
he was a cricketer, played cricket for Australia.
Line cricket.
Yeah, but the name I think was not. I thought he came from a wealthy family.
He married one of the Elliot Drink girls.
Well,
Remember?
Hey,
Oh, Elliott's, yeah, that's right,
You know,
Elliott's.
they had this son.
Yeah,
So he married one of them, and they give him a job as a commercial traveller. He only hit the first bloody pub.
Oh, he's a drinker.
Oh, alcoholic it was.
when he went to sleep in this freezer, they woke him up, and they said, "Come on, you'll freeze to death down here. It's too cold." He said, "I'd sooner go home cold than tired," and went back to sleep. But I don't know whether that's true or not. That's the story they tell.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, he was in the back of a lorry, this is the truth, and I was an official at the time, and I was going up with Brady. We're going up the Whalum Wall, and he's sitting at the lorry, and he can see Brady, Fleetwood Smith, all right? And they don't want Brady to see him, he's nicked away early, you know. He's trying to find his face all the way out. And Brady said to me, have a look at Fleetwood Smith there. He said, he's on a job somewhere. Look at him trying to hide his face, you know. But the coppers told him to get off the waterfront if they finished. They pinched him, didn't they?
Was this after he'd given up cricket that he?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
He
yeah.
wasn't a cricketer.
He was in Bradman's team in the 30s.
I see.
You know.
He was going way down.
Yes. Yeah.
So he
he was
just,
a great bowler.
yeah, he was just, the poor fella just became an alcoholic.
Oh,
That's
I see.
what
Yeah, well, I think he might have come from rather a posh family.
Sounds good. I like those hyphenated names. They impress me no end.
Like Lowenstein Smith and that, you know.
Lowenstein Smith.
Yeah.
Lowenstein, that's a Jewish name, isn't it? Yeah, that's.
It was,
My mother was Jewish. It's a German name, and a lot of Jews.
Yeah,
you know,
because,
like that. It's like Stein. There are non-Jewish
Steins, yeah.
Yes, it's German name. Anyway, Fleetwood Smith. Now,
but there's a lot of characters
Speaking of
like
Yiddish,
that in the waterfront,
Aren't
wasn't
you?
there?
no,
Oh.
Werner speaks to me.
Royce Mark Steele.
Yeah. Well, what about the bosses? Were there characters who were bosses, or were they? I mean,
Well, Herb Gibson, I suppose you'd say, you know, the big trump.
What about the bloke who used to carry the gun? The pistol
Ross,
taker?
Ross, the
pistol packing mountain.
Yeah, he used to carry a gun, didn't he?
Gross, his name was.
Gross.
Yeah,
Gross,
yeah,
yeah, that's right, gross.
He, oh no, it wasn't him that upset Victoria Stevedore and Company who fetched him under, was it? It was Goss. You know, he fetched the Victoria Stevedore and Company undone when he sold his shares to Patrick's.
Did he?
That's what claims him there.
Did it?
Well, I
We
didn't know
got that
that.
story.
Oh, Jack,
We got that story from
Jack Strange.
String. He know that, you know. When we,
Oh, yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
Well, they all own, there was a sort of cooperative, they all own shares.
Shares and
They do own a share.
and when you retired, you had to sell your shares, and he sold these to bloody Patrick. He can give them control of it. Victorian Stevedore. That's it. Oh, one day I'd come undone because it was
Yeah, that's
very
right.
strong. you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, United disappeared when
They never
P&R
give nothing away
disappeared,
the
didn't it?
Vicks.
Hmm?
United,
Sorry, I'll,
go on.
they never give nothing away the Vicks.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they were a hard mob.
It's very interesting with Strain.
Yeah.
It was the best companies to work for. He said, well, you know, we're talking about when the shortage of labour, you know, they'd only go night with it.
Oh, yeah.
He said, oh, Vicks would get no day either because they were the hardest. Union Company would because they were easiest to work for.
Yeah.
And he said, I expect we were sort of in the middle of what like Baggery was.
I didn't like working for Springs, never.
We got picked up one night for a job at 16 dot for Liberty Boat for the Union Company, and there was 3 or 4 gangs there. And they were short of labour, and the ship never got in. And Strings were there, and that's south. String was there. They had a ship at 15, and south at the Barwon in the river, and he wasn't too popular either.
No.
And they said, "What do you want to do? There's one night." Strang said, "There's 8 nights here," and the other bloke said, "Oh, there's 6 nights there." They said, "Look, if we're going to get a quid or whatever it was," they said, "this'll do us. One night here at Strang's," because they were right there. There was no travelling, and that was it. One night, like, you know.
Yeah.
They never backed up the next night.
They went in for a lot of brothers, foreman, Springs.
Strange.
Yeah.
Springs had the Sharp brothers. One of, and those the other 3, Wally, there was 3 brothers.
Biggs.
Wally Biggses,
Yeah.
Biggses, yeah. And the
He's got
Ramari.
legs off, you know.
Yeah.
Tony Biggs has got his both legs off, hasn't he?
No, one, I think.
One is it?
Oh, no, I think you're right.
I think it was
Manages very well. Would
Yeah.
that be from
He's
industrial
up in
accident?
the Housing Commission, you know, up in Clary.
He was in our gang, wasn't he, for a while?
Yeah.
Would that be because of industrial accidents or illness?
No,
Or did he
I
didn't
think
work?
it's just gangrene.
Yeah.
Oh, he got sugar, yeah.
Yeah, I see.
Sugar.
He was in my gang for a while,
I mean,
Ernie Biggs. But there was 3 brothers. There was Wally, Ernie, and another one. Then there was the not Piramis, what's their name? Ramaris, and the Cruel Shepherd and his brother.
Yeah.
why was he the cruel shepherd?
A mutton flogger. A mutton flogger. What was his name? The 2 brothers. There was George and White.
White.
Yeah, George and Mason George.
Mason White.
Well, there's 4 sets of brothers.
Did he have peculiar sexual appetite?
He did that, yes.
I wasn't trying to work it out.
The Cruel Shepherd.
know- He was in the UWM during the Depression. Mason, the
Mason.
White brothers.
Yeah, they lived in Fitzroy.
In Fitzroy
Did
and
they?
up in South Melbourne.
Yeah. Mason lived in Fitzroy, no? Yeah.
Frankie Hall.
Yeah.
Mr. Muscles. Yeah.
No?
He's fat as mud now.
Is it?
I remember him when he was the boy of the bodyguard, the poser they used to call him.
Yeah.
He used to stand there and he'd go ahead.
Bloody
Twitch,
wig out.
twitch.
What was he one of those bodybuilding?
He went to England with the
Yeah.
You know where-
representing Australia at
Not really got the money.
yeah, from us.
And so what?
Weightlifting, no,
That's right.
the Empire Games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but he was a terrifically built bloke. Gee, he looked well.
That's right.
Yeah.
I told
Wouldn't work in an epileptic fit. As they say, he wouldn't pull a soldier off his mother. That's what they.
Go on, Tom.
I'm sorry.
I told a story about the weightlifters in Gibson.
Oh yeah.
Up the road.
Up the road.
Why is Gibson so famous? Was he a character?
Oh, he was a bit of a
Yeah,
character.
he was.
He'd come along onto a job, and everything would be going along quietly. You
No,
know?
he hated anything to be bloody peaceful.
That's right. And he'd start, and he'd stir up everyone. He'd have blokes yelling out at each other and screaming out the butt. And he'd go right along the whole ship, and he'd get everything in an uproar, and then he'd go.
Off he'd go.
Yeah.
He's happy as bloody life.
Yeah.
But that didn't this mean that he was a bad foreman? I mean,
He's a supervisor. He was a boss.
well, I mean, this must have been bad for the job.
Well, he reckon it stirred them up and got them working, you know. They couldn't get at him, so they'd work hard.
Bloody Don Stratton used to swear by him.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, who was it on one of them tapes, Tom, the football guy, was saying on one occasion he heard Strand giving him a hell of a...
I was
that
there.
you, that's
Yeah.
right, in the office.
Yeah, in front of everyone too.
Yeah.
Try and give it to him. And poor old Luke stood there with his hat in his hand, you know. I was embarrassed, I tell you. I didn't like it. You know, I went out the joint.
Was only talking the other day about John Allen. Remember John Allen?
Oh,
And he'd say, oh, on the gate in the wharf,
Mm.
and it was discharging, you know, and he'd say, oh, they're giving you a hell of a time out here, boys. Them big slings. He said, I've been watching them big slings coming out, but never mind. We'll be loading tomorrow. You can get your own back.
Yeah, you can get
You
it.
get your own back on tomorrow, like, you know.
What's that mean?
well, they were sending out big gone birds.
He was sent. The gangs were sending out big slings, like, you know, because he was wrapped. But he didn't know he want the big slings coming out. He went to the fellas on the wharf and told them what they were doing to them. And there's a chance was tomorrow to be discharged and they'd be loading, so you can get evens and send them a big sling back.
Oh, you mean getting the work done?
See, what would be happening is the blokes on the wharf would be blue and they're over the weight. They'd want to send them back and all sorts of bloody things.
Yeah.
And they say, well, Alan say, well, never mind, boys, you can get bloody evens. Well, why don't we start loading? You send them in some biggies.
I'll never forget the time I was working one night down at 2 Dock, and we loaded a lot of bag stuff. And you remember they used to get it up in the shed, and they'd go as high as they could, like, you know. And when the time come to start loading, they'd have to pick up 2 top stackers, you know, and they'd be breaking it down for the 2 fellas that were stacking onto the 2-wheelers, you know. Anyway, there's a bloke there pretty full, and he'd done a lot of boob, you know. And the bloke said to him, you see that bloke up there on the top? He said, he's an ex-copper. And this bloke said, what? What did you say? He said, he's an ex-copper. So when he go over the stack, he'd say, skull cracker? Skull cracker. The bloke say, yes, top stacker. And it was hysterical, you know. And it took 2 nights before the bloke realised up top there that the bloke was calling him a copper. He was calling him a skull cracker. Like the bloke had done a bit of boob, you know. Calling him a skull cracker. He said, he was thinking he was saying here, the top stacker.
Stop stackers.
What was the hardest, I mean, before containerisation, what was the hardest job, you know, sort of on the waterfront?
I reckon Japanese cement was.
Yeah, well, I reckon a lot of the hard jobs were carrying, because you would only do it once in a certain time.
That's right.
Like wheat, you went and carried lump wheat. If you lump wheat every day, you'd never notice it. But you'd lump wheat for a week, and you'd probably never lump another bag for 6 months. Things like that. Like,
I'll tell you one of the hardest jobs I did was beef. You know, the size of bloody beef, 600, 700 pound. You couldn't get a floor
Yeah.
to walk.
What about rubber?
do you know
about
what?
that rubber?
Wait a minute, what do you mean, you were stacking beef? Like little bags of wheat, but you never got...
Yeah, belly to belly, back to back. Yeah, that's right.
I see, and this was in a
They
fridge.
weigh about,
Yeah.
what do they weigh, 500, 600?
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Easy.
And you couldn't get a floor to
You're
work.
talking about on bloody beef. What?
Yeah, and it was hard, and it used your footing used to go up front.
Oh, because of all the
Yeah,
everything was-
that's right.
The only way you get a footing is to put bags on your feet,
Yeah.
tie bags, to give you something to spread. Like, you know what I mean?
Like,
Spread
it's
your
not like
foot.
wearing snowshoes, sort of thing.
Yeah.
More or less,
Like
yes.
it.
But it's funny, you know, when you just said, Tom, the hardest jobs, it always sticks in your mind, the hardest word. And I found that one of the hardest jobs was the old Swede, like the Mirror Book and the Kookaburra and the Gunnawara. And they used to come out from Sweden with that pulp.
Oh, yeah, damn the
And
tanks.
it was put in wet, and it'd swell.
Mm.
And you weren't supposed to use a bar. You'd have to use a bar.
It
but
was sort of like cement
instead of
almost.
instead of lifting them out, you'd have to upend them and they were bigger than the ordinary bales now.
Oh, they were bales
Yeah.
of
Bales of pulp.
pulp,
you know.
of paper pulp.
Yeah.
You'd stand up
and
eight.
it put in wet, and it got set and they stick
Swell.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd stand up 8 with a wire in it. It was
Lovely.
3,200 weight. 3,200 weight in each sling. And then, of course, they never worked overtime this week. They only worked from 8 till 5.
Oh, jump. Yeah.
And you'd go from 16 dock, discharge it there, right down the pier and load double dumps.
Yeah.
And by God, Jesus, I tell you what, you didn't want to see another Swede for 6 months.
You remember?
Double dumps of what?
Whoa.
Walleyes.
Oh,
You remember those rubber boats, the straight boats?
Yeah,
But they put the rubber in hot, and each two you're supposed to have between it.
These the Dutch boats, straight.
Supposed to have between it
Come from Indonesia.
powder, French chalk.
What were these for bales of rubber?
Yeah,
yeah.
raw rubber, stuck.
Yeah.
And then what would happen? The heat and what have you, they'd stick together, and you couldn't frise them up. You had to put a
Sometimes with a
crowbar.
yeah,
You couldn't get them
work out with
apart.
a-
Oh, jeez, that was hard.
Yeah.
They were hard work then, wasn't they?
Always on the wharf, they come in, they reeve out the net, they bounce all over the joint.
Bloody joint.
Yeah.
Chuck 'em in.
It was
Gullies
like
in
a
the
great
tween.
big blooming golf ball sort of thing.
Yeah, well, it's as big as that TV set.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they bounce.
And
Yeah.
when they reeved them out, they just bounce. You go, oh, there's another one. And they had different marks in them. Oh, geez.
I think one of the hardest was gunnies in the tween deck.
Gunnies, yeah, they were
Trapping
heavy.
gunnies,
500 weight, those were those gunnies.
gunny bags. Oh,
Gunny sacks
big,
from
enormous,
India,
they'd weigh heavy,
and they were about 500
Those
weight.
gunnies from India.
All
Yeah.
these like bales of bags.
Bales of
Oh,
bags,
yeah.
You
exactly.
used to stand them up and put a wire around them.
Yeah. And linseed in the locker.
Mhm.
Now, what was in
Linseed
the, what was
in the
the
locker.
significance of
Linseed.
being in the locker? What,
Big-
We only had a little narrow doorway to go through.
well, why would they have it in the locker?
Oh, they'd have it anywhere they could because.
Sure, it'd be no wider than that, would it?
Nah.
What, the television set?
No, the door.
That.
That
And
door
how
there.
was it?
And the big
door?
sacks. And
And
they
it
were
was
big.
Yeah,
big
enormous, heavy.
And it was hard to get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was nothing solid about it, Wendy. It'd be when you picked up one end of the go to the
Oh,
other.
yeah, that
you know?
was terrible.
One of those-
Would you believe it, Wendy, that you could be laying on your side stowing cargo?
Mm.
Remember?
Yeah.
When
Where
you
was
finished-
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the locker, in the.
No.
They used to put the drums
In the
down. they
tween
used
deck.
to-
Yeah, that's
What,
what.
what was hard about tween decks? I mean, you just said.
Well, the
something
height
about
for
tween-
start.
How
You
much
see,
further?
so you might get
That's a bit, yeah.
that eye up,
Yeah.
and there's that space left.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So that'd be drum straps
That'd be
up to there, wouldn't
feet
it?
to the ceiling.
Top off with,
Well,
top it off with
They
jam.
want that pulled in,
Yeah.
so you'd be up on your bloody side straight.
You climb up there.
Yeah, well, a couple would stay up there, and the others would push the stuff up to it.
And you,
Push it in.
you'd have to stow it in.
And the thing in those days, Wendy, a lot of those ships used to carry a lot of jam, and they had
Oh, it wasn't
the
that
heavy
bloody
dark
heavy.
plum or the light plum. So you asked them for the light plum when you were topping up.
Charlie Glasson all used to ring out the Insa-wall, wasn't it? The Insa-wall.
Yeah.
You know, send in the Insa-wall. That's the only thing he could put up there. He only ever went up 4 high, Charlie. That was his height. That
Yeah.
nothing after that.
And now you said something about cement, Japanese cement.
Yeah,
Tell me
well,
about that.
that was bad news. The normal cement is, about 5 or 6 layers of Brigham paper,
Bang.
bag, But Jap cement was one
One
sheet
ply.
of Brigham, one
Yeah.
ply. That
Yeah.
ply is what I think it.
Mm.
So you'd start off and you'd do it. They'd go out all right. You used to make a pallet ton on a pallet, and then one would break, and the whole contents just disappear, like whoosh. Then you'd be walking on it. Right now, when you got down to the lower hole, you were walking in a foot or maybe more of cement, and it used to. My skin bad for cement, used to burn the skin off, and they were bloody heavy. They were 100 weight each.
How did you do them, neck 'em or what?
No,
Having
just
one
pick
on.
them up and put them on a. Yeah,
pallet.
put 20 on a pallet.
Oh, yeah, I see.
So each one would do his own.
Pick
You
'em up by the ears, is it?
no, you had to pick them up. You had to pick them up like.
Like, put their arms around them,
Oh,
so
yeah.
underneath,
Yeah.
no?
Oh,
Put
yeah.
them close into your chin.
Yeah, because it was a paper bag and it'd break.
Oh, that's it. You had to treat them gently.
Yeah, so by the time you got to the bottom, you were wading through it.
Goes on like that.
What are you up to, Don?
Just going to get a beer while they're talking.
It's a very good idea. I was going to suggest it myself, but I didn't like it because it wasn't my beer.
You're wading through it, you know, and everything you sent out, the cement would be drifting down the hatch, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, it was something. Up your ear and your nose.
Oh,
Bloody hell.
your eyes.
Penalty for that.
Oh, maybe Zach an hour or something. And overalls, and maybe if they felt.
And the first Japanese ship would come in here after the war, 21 south somewhere.
Yeah, I was
a bit further along. Aussie Arnold had a semi.
Big Aussie.
Yeah, he had a bloke on a semi. Well, every bloody bag of cement would come out. We'd pull the tray. That was busted first on the bloody tray, you know.
Yeah.
So that when it went through the gate, they counted the gate. You must have got a bundle out of it, you know.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Is he still around, Aussie Arnold?
No, he died.
Did he? Gee, he was a nice fella, Aussie.
Yeah. Well, they
Big-
busted bags and they spread it out on the trailer, the semi-trailer. I expect you could put 20 bags that way.
Oh, he's, yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh,
So when they got it out the gate,
It's shuffling or something.
they checked only the bag.
Chugging into a 44-gallon
Oh,
drum.
you mean on pitching it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I wasn't quite looking for
I reckon one of the worst. I think a real hard job was the old small flower.
Why was that?
I didn't know.
You couldn't get a grip of it, Wendy. You know,
How small?
it's, I would say
56 pounds.
56 pounds.
Mm.
But it was just like,
Photograph, what's
Yeah,
the
well,
photograph?
yeah.
Look at that, is that a small flower?
No, I think they're heavier.
They're in
They're
there.
pretty big.
Yeah, no, I think they're a bit.
I didn't see that. I didn't see the cargo.
Did you? Oh, yeah,
I didn't look at the
I think
cargo.
they're a lot bigger than they. Oh, you'd put
Yeah, there's the next size.
yeah, 75 pounders they are.
They're 75 pounds. They're in
Yeah.
calico bags. And you used to wear your fingertips. You go to pick
Yeah.
one up at the end of the
Oh.
day, but just slide out of your bloody hands because you
There's no
couldn't
feel.
hold them.
Yeah.
You used to,
Flour made them sort of too soft to get hold of.
oh no, they had them sort of packed in pretty tight, didn't they?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and you'd go all right for a while because you had to sort of grab the bag and hold it. And eventually, by the end of the day, you worked till 7 o'clock, say, you know,
Yeah.
a 12-hour shift on them. Your hands, you couldn't feel them. You just
Yeah.
pick one up and just fall out of your hand again.
They used to tell you, Wendy, and they'd have a supervisor coming along, and he'd say, "What's wrong with this here, number 3 hatch?" And you'd say, "Like, what is wrong?" "Well, you're 25 ton behind number 2." And they go up to number 2 hatch, and they say, "What's wrong with this hatch?" And they say, "Well, what's wrong? Number 3's 25 ton in front."
Yeah.
And this went on all the time in those days,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Very common, happens on, I
Oh.
saw it happens in factories with production lines. I've worked in them.
Yeah.
All the time saying that next, the other line's ahead of you.
Yeah, that
The other
was
line's ahead of you. There's this competition and the workers fall
Yeah.
for it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, the girls will turn and say, "Hey, let's see if we can beat them." You know,
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. I think it's because the job was so monotonous in factories, they do it themselves. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's,
Well, that's. I think that anybody that's working outside in a factory, they've got to have a continuity of, not a continuity, but they've got to be changing all the time.
yeah. I don't know what
Especially
you
on
put up
production
those
lines.
lines, in the car
Oh.
factories.
You know, if I've had a nightmare, I dream that I'm working on it. Now, I've never worked anywhere in a factory like that since I was a kid. If I ever have a nightmare, I dream I'm working on one of those lines, putting wheels on cars and that, and I wake up nearly screaming. Not me, why is it me, you know?
I was, it's very interesting. Did you enjoy working on the wharf?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm still there.
You'd have to. If I lived my life over again, I'd be back there.
Would you be a wharf if you lived your life over
I would have started
Yes,
sooner.
Thanks to
That 6 years I spent with Charlie Glasson, I used to be anxious to go to work every day to find out what was going to happen next. You know, it was. There was some funny. There was old Scrawny was in that gang, and Massey Harris, and there's some real funny people. in there.
No, it was hard and all that sort of thing. It was that
Thanks, Tom.
independence or something.
Variety. He said it. He said
Variety
good luck.
was the truest
He said it the
word he's
other
ever
day.
said.
Variety.
It's the spice of life. and
All the
that it was.
discontents, the malcontents, and the misfits are ideal there because you only had to put up with that job for 2 days or 3 days, and you wouldn't see that bloke again or that foreman or that ship for 6 months.
No.
Somewhere else you'd go. It's a different lot of fellas. Hello, how are you? The misfits. That's what we are. Anyone that works on the waterfront is a misfit.
He's the best anyway.
Yes, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, good health. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shalom Allah.
That's right, Phil.
Horse marks there.
Yeah.
And what's it, like Laheim? That's
Laheim.
Laheim. That's the best toast in the world to like.
You've been seeing.
Haven't been seeing it.
What was the film? What Fiddler on the Roof?
No.